Get ready, because this might just be the cutest Christmas craft you'll see this season. With gingerbread people, clay details, and a few tiny kitchen accents, this project is going to melt your heart. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc., and welcome to my channel. If you're ready to turn an ordinary small cutting board into a festive holiday treasure, let's make a mess. These are cute little cutting boards, but they're really thin and a bit flimsy. So I'm going to glue two of them together to gain a little stability. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue. I covered the entire board with the glue and then pressed them together, making sure everything lined up correctly. My crafty friend Cindy S. requested a decorated rolling pin. I know you wanted a real rolling pin, and I'll still make that for you too. But for now, this video is for you. I added clips all the way around to hold them together, and I'll let that dry overnight. That actually made quite a bit of difference. Since I'm going to be decoupaging a napkin on this board, I'm going to need to paint it white. I'm using one of my favorite paints, Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Cotton. Although Dixie Belle has great coverage, I'm going to give it 2 coats to make sure I have a perfectly opaque surface. Napkins are very translucent and you can see everything right through them. Look at this adorable mini wooden rolling pin. I'm going to paint the center of this white as well, because this is going to get some decoupage too. Make sure you always paint white or a very light off-white wherever you're going to decoupage rice paper or a napkin. White allows the colors in your images to look more vibrant. Dark colors will make your images look dark and muddy. I just love this napkin. I swear you can smell the cinnamon just looking at it. I opened it up and I'm going to cut out what I'm going to need to cover the board. Now I'll separate the layers. This napkin is 3-ply. So I'm removing the bottom 2 plies and working only with the top layer that has the print on it. I lay the napkin face down on a piece of plastic. I just cut up a Ziploc bag for my plastic. I'm spraying the napkin with some water, a lot of water. This will make the napkin expand. When it dries, it will shrink back to its original size, pulling out any small wrinkles and bubbles. You'll see that there are some large bubbles right now. Very gently, by just the edges, pull the napkin towards the edges of the plastic. If you have any trouble moving the napkin, spray more water on it. The water won't hurt the napkin and it'll make it easier to move. I'm using Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish as my decoupage glue today. This works great for decoupaging napkins. It dries in 1 hour and completely cures in 5 days. It dries crystal clear and never yellows. Now I'm going to flip my plastic over so that the napkin is down and the plastic is up. I'll carefully lay that down on the board a little at a time. Now I'm rubbing out wrinkles and bubbles with a paper towel right over the plastic. Then I'll start lifting one corner of the plastic and delicately remove it from the board. Normally this is a wrinkle-free application, however my plastic had a couple of bulges in it, which caused my napkin to wrinkle in a couple of places. So make sure you use a piece of plastic that's completely flat. I'm going to be putting quite a few embellishments on this, so those couple of wrinkles won't show. And as it dries, they'll pull out somewhat. Polyvine works so much better than the most popular decoupage glue that takes much longer to dry and takes 28 days to completely cure. Until it's completely cured, you shouldn't add any top coats or varnishes. If you do, it will reactivate the glue and cause wrinkles and bubbles. This is why Polyvine is always my go-to for decoupage glue. Okay, I'm going to let this dry for a couple of hours. Because of the water, it will take a little bit longer to dry. I'm using a medium grit sandpaper to remove all the excess napkin from around the edges. I'm sanding in a downward motion. This cuts the paper clean right at the edge of your base. I'm going around the entire thing until all the excess paper has been removed. Make sure you don't go in an upward motion. That could lift your paper. Now I'm giving the board a coat of Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish in a satin finish. All of the Polyvine varnishes are wonderful sealers, but the Heavy Duty Wood Varnish is my preferred one to use. I love the flawless satin sheen it gives, which is moisture, heat, abrasion, chemical and stain resistant, as well as food safe. It's water-based, so there is no strong smell or harmful fumes. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from decoupagenapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. And this is how you get an amazing shine with this varnish. I let the first coat dry for an hour, and now I'm sanding it very lightly with a fine grit sandpaper. I'll wipe off the dust and then give it another coat of varnish. You can repeat this process as many times as you like. Each time you'll get a little bit more of that flawless shine that Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish can provide. Make sure you allow it to dry for a full hour between coats. I'm using a special paintbrush that is made by Polyvine specifically for their varnishes. It's wonderful and spreads the varnish out nicely, eliminating brush marks. Okay, the board is drying, so let's have some fun with clay. I'm using my favorite DOS clay to make some embellishments for this project. DOS clay is so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. This adorable mold is an accent mold and has 6 little gingerbread people. I chose 2 of them for this project, a boy and a girl. They are just so cute. This whole project turns out really cute, so make sure you stick around to see the end result. After pressing the clay into the molds, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife, and then smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid so they just pop out of the mold easily. No tiny little limbs will break off. If you want to see an in-depth video on how to work with air dry clay, click the banner in the top right corner of your screen. I'll also leave you a link for that video in my description box below. Fresh out of the freezer, watch how easily these just pop out of the molds. No delicate little pieces will break off. They are frozen solids, so I'll need to let them thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you remove them from the mold right away as soon as you take them out of the freezer. I'm rolling out a bit of cookie dough, well, clay, because I found some itsy bitsy little cookie cutters that are going into this project as well, and I need some dough to set them on. Wait till you see, they are so darn cute, and they are real. You can actually use them to make mini cookies. I'll have to try that with my grandkids. They'll love it. I'm making an indent in the clay with the cookie cutters, so I'll have a place to glue them after the clay dries. Since I rolled the clay out on a plastic bag, it'll be easy to peel up. I'll put all my clay on a piece of butcher paper to dry. I'll leave them there overnight. During the day, I'm flipping them over once in a while and moving them to a dry section of the paper. The paper pulls some of the moisture out of the clay, so you have to move them around once in a while. I'm going to paint all my gingerbread pieces. This is a terracotta paint in the color Pueblo, and it looks just like gingerbread. I sponged Dixie paint in the color drop cloth around all the edges to give a little bit of color differentiation. I added pink cheeks with Pentart paint in the color rose, a white apron and icing trim, Pentart paint in the color red for the star and the bow tie, and Pentart light brown for the nose and eyes. DecoupageNapkins.com has such a great selection of napkins that you can purchase one at a time. They carry many other craft supplies such as rice paper, paint, clay, molds, and a great selection of polyvine products. Over 9,000 products and growing. They are wonderful to work with and will send your order out fast. You'll receive free shipping on orders over $75 and special bonus points for orders over $100. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address, and you'll receive 10% off your next order. They are truly your one-stop shop for craft supplies. Make sure you check them out. I'll be leaving links for all the products I use in my description box below, as well as more information on the previously mentioned promotions. Please note that any of these promotions are subject to future changes. I'm going to let the paint dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to give them a coat of varnish and let that dry for an hour. I'll be doing some antiquing and need a shiny surface for that. Okay, time to antique. I'm using Folk Art Antiquing Medium in the color Wooden Bucket Brown. I don't need very much, so I'm just using it right out of the lid. I added a little bit of water to make it somewhat runnier. I'm brushing it on and then wiping it off right away with a soft, dry cloth. Because of the satin varnish, it'll wipe off the surface, but stay in any crevices like the mouths, eyes, and around all the white icing. This will give my gingerbread people some depth and dimension. It'll take them from flat to 3D. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. The nice thing about my gingerbread paint is that it looks like gingerbread. The bad thing is it blends with the napkin so well that you can't see my embellishments. So I'm going to have to make it look like I've dusted the board with flowers so they stand out. I'm using Dixie Belle in cotton and dabbing it with a stencil brush. Stencil brushes are very stiff and have a flat surface. Because of that, it's going to add white dots of paint. If you use your imagination, you'll see flower. I put some paint on the flat surface of the brush, and just a little, then wiped some of it off on a paper towel. I don't want too much paint ending up in one spot. When it dried, it didn't seem like enough though, so I ended up adding a little bit more. I gave the board another coat of varnish to seal the white paint that I just added. I know you've all been waiting for this, my friends. Let's add some gold edging. I'm using Decor wax and the color Eternal. I'm edging the board as well as the edges of the dough and my gingerbread people. I really love gold. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And why not share this with a friend? Thanks for doing that. You won't want to miss any of the new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. I used a small paintbrush to edge the gingerbread people. This product is solvent-based, so you'll need mineral spirits to clean your brush. Everything else I've used today is water-based and will clean up with soap and water. I get a lot of questions about how I clean my brushes after all the products I'm using. I use Speedball pink soap for brushes. I'll leave you a link in my description box below. It works really well. It seems to remove paint you didn't even know was still in your brush. I think you'll like it. Remember the grooves I added to the dough? I'm going to glue those tiny cookie cutters in the grooves. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue around the groove. Using a silicone brush, I smeared the glue into the grooves and then removed some of the excess glue with a Q-tip. I test all the products that I recommend in my videos. I won't recommend anything that I haven't used myself and prefer. If I'm recommending it, you can bet it's a great product. Each product will be listed in my description box below and will have a blue link to make it easy for you to find. Any of the links I provide are safe for you to click on. Remember that cute little rolling pin? I'm going to decoupage a rice paper Merry Christmas on it. I'm tearing it out from the main sheet and using heavy-duty wood varnish as my decoupage glue. You always want to tear your rice paper or napkin instead of cutting it. A torn edge is much easier to blend than a sharp cut edge. I let that dry for about an hour, and now I'm giving the rolling pin another coat of varnish to give it a nice shine. I'm only putting it on the center and not the handles. I want them to remain raw wood. I'll let that dry for an hour. I'm using the Eternal Wax Rub to add a tiny gold edge on the white paint of the rolling pin. I put some painter's tape close to the edge to serve as a guide. I'm using a small flat brush to apply the rub. I used a Q-tip dipped in mineral spirits to clean up the line a little bit. I used some small satin ribbon to make the cutest little bow for my rolling pin. I'm going to use my mini bow dabber tool to make a beautiful bow for this project. There are vertical slits and horizontal slits. Add a thin cord or a small ribbon through the vertical slits. Then you can layer your ribbon back and forth in the horizontal slits, using as many layers of ribbon or as many different types of ribbon that you want to. After you have all your layers of ribbon, pull up the two ends of your small cord in the vertical slits and tie them together. You can then safely lift up your newly made bow. I bring the cord around to the back and tie it in a knot. Now you can add an embellishment to the center of the bow or another tiny bow. I just love this little tool. You can find this in my description box below in my favorite tools section in case you want to check it out. I added some tiny pine cones and little red berries to the center of the bow in the front. Then added some gold berries along with some greenery to the back of the bow. I just love the way this bow turned out. The red satin along with some white lace and green velvet ribbon made such a nice contrast. Now it's time to put it all together. I'm going to glue all my little embellishments to the prepared cutting board. This is my favorite part of any project. I just love putting it all together. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. I've added a link to a video that I think you may enjoy. Click the picture on the right to be taken directly to that video. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new project with you in mind. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.